Good morning, my dear friends. I would like to welcome you on a talk on foreign exchange rates and its influencing factors. Now, in the beginning, we need to know that foreign exchange is the exchange of one country which is used in the international trading of imports and exports. In the international trade, the buyers and sellers, say importers and exporters, reside in different nations having their own currency. Now, all the nations in the world are not having same currency. Each one will be having different nomenclature and differs in the values and also in the coinage. Now we need to know the foreign exchange rate. The foreign exchange rate is the price of a nation's currency in terms of another currency. Now there are two components in this foreign exchange rate. They are domestic currency and foreign currency. So also there are two ways of quoting these rates, namely direct quotation and indirect quotation. In the direct quotation, the prices of a unit of foreign exchange currency is generally expressed in the terms of domestic currency. Whereas coming to the indirect quotation, here the prices of a unit of domestic currency will be expressed in the terms of foreign currency. Now, an exchange rate that does not have the domestic currency as one of the two components is known as a cross rate or cross currency. Therefore, the fluctuations will take place here. Now, in India, these fluctuations in the foreign exchange rates are being communicated daily by the CBIC, that's called Central Board of Indirect Taxes and Customs, also RBI. It is done by the government in a controlled economy, and strict trade and exchange control will be imposed by the government. Whereas in a free economy, generally this will be determined by the intrinsic value of the currency. So, based on the nature and situation, the foreign exchange rates are mainly divided into three types. One is real exchange rates, second one being fixed exchange rates, and third one being floating exchange rates. Now we will see one by one. Real exchange rates, it means here the rates will be subject to the fluctuations in the rates of exchange due to inflation in the markets. Now it shows the purchasing power of the consumers. The real exchange rates are the nominal exchange rates multiplied by the price indexes of the two nations. This means the market price level of India for the goods and given services are given by the indexes of the inflation in the market. Then coming to the fixed exchange rates. Here, the fixed exchange rates is the exchange rate regime of the country in which the government or central bank of that country. Whereas for India, it is Reserve Bank of India that ties the official exchange rate with that of another country in terms of currency or else to the price of gold. The main purpose for which this fixed exchange rate is adopted is to maintain a country's currency value within a narrow band. This fixed exchange rate is also called as pegged exchange rate. Then we will come to floating exchange rate. Third one. This is the exchange rate in which the value of currency will be determined by the free market forces. In a country where supply and demand changes for currency and also the amount of currency held in foreign reserves will be deciding the exchange rate. Here, this system of floating exchange rate is tending towards the efficient economy. Now, there is more volatility depending on the particular currency. There is a possibility of undergoing either appreciation or depreciation of currency here due to fluctuations. This system is called as flexible exchange rate. Now, we will see the various factors which will influence the exchange rates. The inflation rates, second one, interest rates, third one, government dues, terms of trade, balance of payments on current account, then stable government with political nature, recession in the market, and speculative situation. We'll study one by one. In the beginning, the inflation rates, the first and foremost factor affecting this foreign exchange rate is the inflationary conditions prevailing in the market. In a country with lesser inflation, will definitely have the appreciation for the currency. When inflation is at lower level, the prices of the goods and services will be at very slower rate. In a country with higher inflation, it will result in the depreciation for the currency. Next comes the interest rates. Now there will be a chain reaction as a small change in the interest rate will have the corresponding effect and impact on the currency value. So also foreign exchange rates and inflation, because these are all interrelated. Similarly, an increase in the interest rates will cause an appreciation in the values of currency, which in turn provide higher rates to the lenders, thereby attracting more and more capital in the form of direct investments in India. Now, the third one is all about the balance of payments account and current accounts. We know the balance of payments account is an integral record including current account, capital account, and earnings on foreign investments and other expenditure also will be shown here. Now it shows all the transactions like exports, imports, and the debts of the government. A deficit in the current account due to more spending of currency on importing of goods than earnings through the sale of exports will lead to the depreciation. But the balance of payments accounts will also reflect the fluctuations in the exchange rates of domestic currency. The fourth aspect is the government deficit. It is the national debt or public debt owned by the central government. In an economy with less debts, it will acquire the capital which will be leading to inflation. Here, foreign investors will sell their bonds in the open market, where the markets are predicting the government debt within the tolerable limits of a certain country. Now here, this will be resulting in the decrease in the value of its exchange rate. Next comes the terms of trade. The terms of trade is the ratio of export prices to import prices related to the current accounts and balance of payment. Now, A country's terms of trade improve of its exports prices when they rise at a greater rate than its import prices. This results in higher revenue, which will cause a higher demand for the currency of that country and increase in its currency value. This will lead to a kind of appreciation in the exchange rate. The next important aspect is the stability of the political government will also have the impact. The political role of the state and economic policies will have a bearing and also influence on the exchange rates of the currency. When they are sound, definitely they'll be adding to the strength of the nation. Otherwise, the foreign investments will come to a country where they feel secure and expect good returns. In a country with a political disturbances at very negligible level or less level, an increase in foreign capital is an indicator, and definitely it will be a kind of appreciation of the exchange rates and improves our rating. In these circumstances, now there will not be any scope for uncertainty in the value of its currency. Whereas a country with political turmoil and the disturbances will automatically pull down the exchange rates in the markets. Next comes recession. We know in the cycles that we see in the trade cycles, boom, depression, and recession are the common features. Now, in this recession phase, whenever a country is experiencing, the interest rates will generally likely to fall. Then it will increase the chances of acquiring foreign capital. Because of this, our currency value will be getting weakened when we compare with the values of currency that is present in the other nations. This is a measure which is pulling down the exchange rate. The next aspect is the speculation. The last, but at the same time, it's not least. The aspect is the speculation, in which a country's value is generally expected to rise. Naturally, there will be more demand from the investor for that currency with an intention to make profits. Now, as a result, the value of the currency will rise due to increase in the demand. With the increase in the currency value, there comes a rise in the exchange rates. For this kind of fluctuations in currency factors, we need to make some adjustments in the foreign exchange rates. Sometimes we need to make the devaluation of the currency when the situation is improved. Then we should go for revaluation of currency. Sometimes when the rate is slower, then we have to go for depreciation of currency. All these measures are regulatory in nature so that they will make to keep the foreign exchange rates under control. With these few words, we conclude this topic. Thank you, one and all.